So, Frank, to summarize our previous discussion, we could simply say market timing is not really a productive strategy for most people most of the time.
I would agree with that, especially because people get emotional, they get reactionary, and when they become undisciplined, they unfortunately tend to do things that aren't very healthy financially. Peter Lynch always said the markets are always efficient at taking money out of the hands of impatient, nervous investors and putting them into the hands of patient, disciplined investors. And I think a lot of the words the media use, again, make people do these kind of mistakes. A perfect example would be anytime we see so much as even less than a 1% change up or down in the market, we see words like soar and words like plunge. I don't know about you, if I ever got in an elevator and that button said soar up or plunge downward, I would get right off that elevator and I would take the stairs.
It sounds like we can also say, something as boring as buy and hold will most of the time win the race.
If you have a good allocation strategy that allows you to properly own, let's say, the best managed companies in the world in percentages that match whatever your long-term objectives and goals are on a risk-favored basis for that particular client. Okay.
So what's the biggest mistake you think retirement planners are making right now?
In my opinion, I would say that not enough, or first of all, are aware completely of what we're talking about here, the real dangers that lie ahead. I think one example would be there's a great need for people to understand how IRA and 401k distribution strategies work, especially pertaining to IRS rules, which can be very stringent. I think there's fortunately outlets in our industry here at the college and even through Ed Slott to better educate and have people aware of these rules, because I don't think clients can afford to make many mistakes in that area.
I really appreciate your point that a good planner really needs to know the rules of these different types of specialized accounts that people are getting into.
And again, it goes back to what a great need we have to have more professionals specialized in these areas, especially even strategic asset allocation you mentioned earlier.
Right.
That can be a specialty in itself. People need to understand how that works, because you can better discipline the client, again, to prevent making knee-jerk reactions or potential long-term mistakes.
Right. Do you think people are focusing adequately on protecting purchasing power?
That's a great question. What I see happening out there is probably no. I see a lot of concern about protecting principal, which today I can understand because we've seen a lot of uncertainty over the last few years. However, when we focus forward and think about, as we said earlier, stretching money over 2 or possibly 3 decades, given the rise in living costs, taxes, healthcare costs, and volatility, purchasing power really becomes a big factor, a huge factor. And unfortunately, the big problem here, and that's where we need to communicate this effectively, is many clients or even just overall investors won't learn this until it's way too late, unless one of us can get to them and make them understand.
Right. I remember when I was studying for my CFP exam, and I learned the financial steps and the acronym EGADEM. And the first step, E, establish a relationship, and it also meant understand the client's goals. The financial planning is about helping the client meet the client's goals, not the planner to meet the planner's goals. Do you think enough planners are focusing on understanding the client's goals and figuring out the plan to make the goals more likely?
I like to think and hope they are. I just get the impression that maybe that's not happening to me as much as it should. Just in conversations I may have with even people in the street, I get the impression when they ask me, nobody's ever talked to me about this or that maybe those questions haven't really been addressed as much as they should. And I think we can't overlook that. I think it's very critical to know exactly what their unique goals are. What some people may say is important about money,
right.
The real answer, I think, is much further down the line than just needing to have more money just to feel secure. They may need to have more money just to feel that they can spend time with certain people in their lives and travel certain places and do certain things that really mean a great deal to them. So I think we need to drive our questions even deeper to get a better understanding from a holistic point of view what people really need and what they want.
It sounds like a good financial planner needs to be a little bit of a therapist to help clients understand what their true goals are, because they may inadvertently focus on the means to those goals and not the goals themselves.